Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. I'm your host, John Clark, and I'm excited to introduce my guest for today. Before we do that, I just want to thank our sponsor, and our sponsor is Jane. Jane is an all in one practice management software that can help you manage your practice with a suite of features that makes it easy to meet with individuals, couples, families, and more. My practice actually switched to Jane a couple months ago. The switch was actually a lot easier than we thought it would be. And some things I like about Jane so far is it's very reliable, it's very efficient, and the customer service is top notch. You can get connected with a real person anytime to work through issues you're having with Jane. And I would also say it's probably the most customizable EHR that I have found out of all those that we researched. So lots to love about Jane. If you're interested in learning more, head to jane.app/mental health-US. We'll put that in the description, and you can use the code PPW1MO for 1 month off grace period on your new Jane account. Thanks again to Jane for sponsoring today's episode. I'm excited to introduce our guest for today. Christine Lee is the founder and CEO of Mentaya. She's a strong advocate for mental health and left her job as a Google product manager to start Mentaya. Mentaya is a company that helps private pay therapists collect their full cash rate by taking advantage of out-of-network benefits. And I'll bring Christine on now. Christine, thanks for being here. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks so much for having me.
Good. Yeah, my pleasure. Uh, I heard about you all, I guess, through the grapevine. It's one of those things, I've been uh, on my third cash pay practice now. And so this whole, idea of people paying out of pocket, especially in my case, in major cities, that being kind of commonly the norm, means that instead of dealing with directly with insurance, us therapists end up dealing with Superbills and often not having the bandwidth to do much more than offer a client a Superbill, and then it's kind of up to them, or it's kind of their problem. So I'm so curious, just like a little bit of the story behind Mentaya and how you got here and kind of found this problem in our industry, where the product's at now, how it's going, feedback you've gotten from therapists. We'll just kind of talk it all through. But yeah, thanks again for being here, and love to just kind of hear wherever you want to begin.
Of course. I'm happy to start with sort of how Mentaya came to be and a little bit of background on
Hmm.
myself. So, a big reason why I started Mentaya was because I really wanted to make a difference in the mental health space. This kind of goes back to when I was a teenager. I went to a school with a lot of mental health issues and just at a young age saw how much of an impact it could have on people's lives. We unfortunately had a lot of my classmates and friends, really struggled with mental health during a time back when it was not super normalized to be able to talk
Yeah.
about mental health. Like seeing a therapist was still kind of like a hush hush thing. No one really talked about it. And I think I just saw how important it was. And then so I ended up going into tech. So I used to be a product manager at Google. My background is I studied computer science at Princeton. And so coming from a technical background, I was always interested in figuring out ways to see if there was a way to, help improve things in the mental health care space where we were helping both clients and therapists, because I know a lot of times you're helping one side but not the other. Like we all care about making mental health care more accessible. It's a big reason why I started Mentaya, but we wanted to do it in a way that was sustainable and beneficial to therapists as well, rather than saying like, "Oh, we'll just pay therapists less," right? Like, we don't wanna
Mm,
be in a situation in which therapists are being harmed by that. And
yeah.
so that's sort of where the idea came to be of how do we make, given that a lot of therapists don't wanna deal with insurance and are private pay, how do we make that more accessible to clients in a way that makes private pay therapy, more affordable for clients, but also empowers therapists to get paid their full rate and charge what they
Hmm.
deserve?
Well, obviously, all that is music to my ears. A big part of my work and this show and this company is about that. And in my story, when I became a therapist, they sat us down in front of a group of really burned out therapists who had been in the field for a few years, and they just told us,
Mhm.
it's going to be a grind. You're going to be very poor for a very long time, and it's going to be, just kind of a brutal career. And basically, what they're saying is, yeah, you can't help people and make good money, and that left me with a chip on my shoulder that I guess is still there, because I believe so much in the value of therapy and the power of therapy,
Mhm.
and so a lot of my work around helping therapists charge their full rates or charge rates that will help them have a lifestyle maybe similar to that of their clients who are working at Google or working, doing whatever they're doing, that are, making great salaries to live in a place like San Francisco where I live. And so I've always thought like we can have it all in that regard. Um, so yeah, I appreciate that perspective of not kind of undercutting the market, because I think there's also a lot of, there's a lot of tech companies that get into this space, and they want to make therapy more accessible, yes, but they end up undercutting therapists, right? Or
Yeah.
paying us $20 an hour to provide subscription therapy for $30 a month or whatever it is, something crazy like that. So there's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, I've definitely heard about that as well, and that was something I was very conscious about going into the space. I didn't wanna be one of those people who came from tech and was like, "Let's just use tech to solve a problem in a way that was
Yeah.
that can be a little bit
Productize it.
tone deaf to the situation
Hmm.
there." Like, I personally have considered and still wanna become a therapist in the future. I
Hmm.
have a lot of friends who are therapists, we have people on our team who are therapists, and I think a lot of times if you look at it in the long run, like, you wanna be able to build or we wanna be able to build a solution that is sustainable, because if you're optimizing for making mental health care more accessible at the expense of therapists, all that's gonna lead to are therapists burning out, leaving the field, there being fewer and fewer therapists, and therapists won't be able to provide the level of quality therapy that they probably want to because they're so burnt out. And
Yeah.
so for us, that's something that's really important to us, making sure that therapists are getting paid fairly. And as you've said in the field, like a lot of therapists feel guilty about not about charging too much or their expectations that they won't make that much in the field, and so that's something that's important to us as well to show therapists, like, there is a path towards making a decent living, and you deserve it because you're doing all this great work to help your clients, especially through COVID and all these crazy times, and so that's something
Mm.
that's really important to us as well.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I'd love to get into the product a little bit, both for the sake of people listening, understanding what it is and how it could possibly help them. And even from my own understanding of like kind of a peek behind the curtain a little bit about what is the product, how does it work, how does it get a super bill to the finish line and money back in the pockets of our clients. So yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit about that. Everything from the benefits checker that we just added to our website recently to
Nice.
kind of what a client is going through on their end as they work with the product.
Yeah, so you've mentioned a couple things like the Superbill process, etc. At a very high level, you can think of Mentaya as just fully automating the Superbill process, and I'll kind of explain what that means. So, from end to end, from when a client is that first phone call where inevitably, as a therapist, you get the question like, "Do you take insurance?" And instead of whatever spiel you usually give, like, "I don't," or "I don't take your insurance, here's my cash rate, I might do sliding scale, I can give you a super bill," you can say, "Hey, just because I don't take your insurance doesn't mean you don't have insurance benefits, doesn't mean you can't use your benefits to potentially get money back on therapy." And so we have this nifty benefits calculator tool that's kind of a marketing widget in a sense for therapists to be able to immediately check your client's benefits and tell them, "Hey, like, look, I've run your benefits to the system. It takes like 3 seconds to get the results. And I know that you have these benefits. You can get reimbursed. Let's say, it's usually between 50 to 80%, but let's say like 70% on the cost of therapy, which is something that a lot of clients don't know their benefits off the top of their head and makes private pay therapy a lot more accessible to people. So that helps you as a therapist win over clients who might otherwise be on the fence about starting therapy with you. So that's kind of the first part. Does that make sense so far?
Hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And so now you're like, your client's like, great, I have these benefits. What do I do? And so you can tell your clients, hey, you can still give the option, like, I can give you a super bill. You can also say, oh, I work with a service called Mentaya that will, automatically take care of submitting claims for you so that you can get reimbursed so that you don't have to do anything yourself. And what that process looks like is, as a therapist, you sign up, you set up your account, takes like a couple of minutes to do that. You invite your clients on the platform. They also set up their account, put in their insurance information, etc. And then your clients are done. They can essentially set it and forget it. Your clients don't need to do anything else after that. And then all we need from you as a therapist on an ongoing basis, on a recurring basis, is to let us know and confirm whether sessions actually happened. We do like
Mm,
calendar sync and things like that. We can even send you an automated HIPAA compliant text saying something like, "Looks like you had a session today with your client from client, AZ from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. today. Please text back yes to confirm that the session has happened." Just to reduce, like, if there's no shows or reschedules, we don't want to be accidentally submitting a claim. But as soon as you let us know, we'll automatically submit a claim to the
mm,
insurance company and take care of everything so that you don't actually have to be involved in the process. We completely shield you and your clients from dealing with
mm.
insurance directly, and we'll handle all the paperwork, any follow-ups that are required. So to take sort of that burden off of your plate and your client's plate.
Amazing. Yeah. Yeah, I think from a client perspective, and I've of course been through this, is go to therapy, pay your therapist, get the super bill, and then the super bill is sitting on your desk or wherever for 6 months, and you never sent it in, and that's about as far as you go. It can be a real, nagging task.
Yeah, and I know a lot of therapists, it depends. Some therapists know. They're like, "I know my clients are not submitting their super bills." Other therapists are like, "Well, I already give super bills. Like, why would I, use a service like this?" And, some clients are really on top of it. They'll submit super bills. But I guarantee you that if you ask some of your clients and see who's actually submitting it, you might be surprised to hear like that most clients either are like, "Oh, I haven't gotten around to," or "I don't really know how to do it," or like,
Yeah,
"I tried and, I haven't heard back," etcetera. And so
totally.
we sort of just streamline that process to help with your clients' cash flow. Like, if they're getting reimbursed more quickly and making sure they're getting reimbursed, they now have all this money they can then reinvest back into therapy rather than, the typical, like, after a few sessions, I don't know if you've experienced this, clients are like, "Can I go every other week or maybe
Of
once a
course.
month?" And this sort of helps mitigate those situations where they can continue to go as frequently as, they need to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, so I guess I'm also curious even further, like how this works again, because I've never directly billed insurance, but in this case, like what type of automation is happening where the super bill is getting submitted to the insurance? Is there a digital, place for that to happen where it can just go in and then be received by the insurance company and then they decide what to do with it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I'll give you a high-level explanation of how it typically works with Superbill and then how it works behind the scenes with Mentaya. So with the Superbill, the way it works is, as a therapist, you generate this bill with all of this information for clients. Clients have to then upload it, fax it, mail it to their insurance company, and then on the insurance company's end, they have to take the information from the super bill, turn it into whatever they format they need to process it, and then have it go through the process of getting
Mm,
submitted. And so with Mentaya, we kind of skipped that step of like translating it from this PDF super bill thing into the right form, into the right information. We are essentially electronically, digitally sending over all the right pieces of information that insurance companies need so that they can process it more quickly and make sure that all the information is getting translated correctly rather than having like a human somewhere in the loop to try to like match this with a CPT code and match that with diagnosis,
yeah,
etc. And so that also reduces the chances of it getting denied and things like
yeah.
that. And it's a lot more seamless because we send it in whatever format the insurance company needs to
Okay.
process.
And when it does get denied, what happens?
So it depends on the reason. for denial. So if, for example, let's say you didn't use the benefits calculator to check your client's benefits, or they insisted that they did have out-of-network benefits, but they don't actually, there's unfortunately nothing we can do if the client doesn't have out-of-network benefits. Like, there's no way to get a claim through because
Mhm.
you just don't have these benefits. In that case, we will generally give a courtesy refund of our fees because we never wanna be collecting payment for something where the claim's not eventually gonna go through. Even if, maybe we've said like, "Hey, you probably don't have out-of-network benefits. If you wanna try something anyway, like, we're happy to do it," and just see.
Mm.
That's the most common case. It currently gets
Okay.
denied. There are, because we've really figured out the system, we rarely get other types of denials because we figured out how to submit it so that it goes through correctly on the first try. I think the other ones we've seen so far, sometimes they require some additional paperwork, or they're like, "Oh, send over this extra information," and we will handle all of that paperwork. We might need to ask a provider, or a therapist sometimes, like, "Hey, can you send over, I don't know, like a W-9 to just prove that you're actually a therapist, or like your license number." Like, occasionally we'll have to ask for some documentation, but we'll take that and then we'll put it in the right paperwork and send it over
Mm.
to the insurance company so that you don't have to communicate with them directly. Usually you just do it through us. Like, we'll be like, "Can you just send over these two things?" And then we'll take care of putting in the right format and
Mm.
submitting it to the insurance company. But we have a guarantee that we will go get the claims through successfully, or you get a full refund of our fees. So it's really risk-free to use
Amazing.
the product.
The risk fee piece is huge, right? I mean, taking that risk out of it, and yeah, the fee piece on your end makes a lot of sense too, right? Because again, this is money that a lot of times clients would not get at all, or not, um, have the organization or the persistence to follow through with in getting it to the desk of the insurance company and getting a claim pushed all the way through. It really, I would say, uh, maybe 20% of my clients actually ask for a super bill. And out of that, probably a smaller percentage actually are diligent enough to send them in on time and get them reimbursed, right? And sometimes there is a little back and forth with the insurance companies around the codes, or making an adjustment here, or we need it in a different format. I mean, they can be very picky and finicky because from my perspective, they have a interest in not paying out if they don't have to. So I'm a little, jaded on in that regard. Um, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times clients will, I mean, there's so many reasons why Superbills don't go through successfully. The first one is clients don't even really understand it. They're just like, "There's no way my insurance is gonna get me give me any money back, so why
Yeah.
even bother trying?" Second one is they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna do it, I just don't get around to it." There's something called a timely filing limit where you have to submit the claim within a certain number of days, whether it's like 90 days, 180 days, or a year. And if you don't submit a claim within that period, you no longer can get reimbursements. And we've seen this from clients who've started using Mentaya who are like, "Oh, can you submit some stuff from like 2021?" And we're like,
Mhm.
"Your insurance company, unfortunately, is not gonna accept that at this point. It's, too late."
Yeah.
And then there are clients who submit it, never hear back, or gets rejected. They're like, "Why is it rejected?" You're on the phone with insurance, dealing with it. And then obviously, it's not to say it never gets submitted successfully. There are some clients who have figured it out. They're able to get it through successfully. And for those clients, if they wanna continue submitting their super bills, they totally can. This is an optional service that you can provide for your
Mm.
clients, but by no means do you have to use Mentaya to submit claims for all of your clients.
Totally, totally. Um, this is great. So I also love to hear just a little bit about the process for a therapist signing up with Mentaya, and just how easy you guys have made that and what those steps look like. And then, of course, even a little bit about that benefits checker tool that can be embedded in your website. I think that's great to talk about.
Yeah, so it is really easy. I think it's people don't realize it until you go through the process. Because obviously, I'm sure lots of services are like, "It's so easy to sign up," but
Mm.
I'll walk you step by step. It's literally you put in your email password, we ask you to verify your email, and then you put in, like, your name, license number, MPI, and that's pretty much it to just set up an account. In order to submit claims, we need your, tax ID and a few other things like that. And then for the benefits calculator, it's really easy to set up. that is we can talk about pricing as well, but that is the only thing that a
Mhm.
therapist will pay for, and it's fully optional. You can use your platform for free if you don't want our benefits calculator. But the way the benefits calculator works is you can pay a subscription of $29 a month per practice. And with that comes with like unlimited checks. You can check clients' benefits using the app. You can even put on your website as sort of a marketing tool of where you put your fees. It's like, oh, my fees, $200 a session, but use this calculator to see if you might be able to get reimbursed for
Mhm.
therapy so that
Mhm.
your full fee may be a little less daunting for prospective
Yeah.
clients. You can also send clients a link, and you can input like your fees for like individual therapy, for couples therapy. If you're
Yeah.
a group practice owner, you can put in, the different therapists in your practice
Yeah.
and what their respective fees are. Um, and that's pretty much it to set
Yeah.
things up. It's really easy.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, this is so exciting. Yeah, I mean, you all have definitely lowered the bar as much as possible for both, yeah, the clients and therapists to use this product, and really for therapists to make a cash pay practice that much more in reach. So I'm a really big fan of that. Um, I guess with a couple minutes we have left here. Yeah, what else do you want therapists to know? And then also getting toward that call to action piece, like if they are interested in signing up or checking out the product, where should they go, and what should they do next?
Yeah, so it's you can just visit our website. It's mentaya.com, mentaya.com. We have really transparent pricing. If they're, as I've said, therapists pay for the benefits calculator as an optional tool. Clients are the
Mm,
ones paying for the claims. It's just a 5% fee. So if you're charging $100 per session, it's $5. If it's $200 per session, it's $10. And on average, we get clients 62% back on
mm,
therapy sessions. So for a lot of clients, it's a no-brainer. But again, that is like you can go on a client by client basis. They can pick if they want to pay for it or not. And then you can just click sign up on our page. I don't know if we have a promo code with you
mm,
that you can use to get a 30 days free of our benefits calculator so that you can use the entire platform completely for free for 30
mhm,
days just to try it out. But you can, I
mhm.
don't know if you have show notes, you can add it in
Totally.
there, but we should have a 30-day promo code for you and your
Awesome.
listeners to just try things out. And I would just
Awesome.
encourage everyone to it's so easy to sign up for an account, play around with it, and just see if it's a good fit for your practice. It's not,
Mhm.
it depends on the practice. Obviously, we have a lot of therapists and practices who love using us. It's not for everyone. So if you try it out and you're like, this is not really for me, or like I don't need
Mm,
the benefits calculator, I just want to submit claims, or I just want to use a benefits calculator, but I don't want to submit claims. We're
yeah.
pretty flexible. And as you dig into the product, you'll see like we have some other things as well. Like if you want to bill through our platform as well, that is an option to do that as
Mm,
well. We also have a free EHR and beta. Like we have different things
wow.
that we don't charge for just to make things easier and give flexibility and options for how people want to use our product.
Mhm. Amazing. Well, I think you guys are gonna do big things. I think you already are, and I think, just the heart that you guys have for mental health and for therapists says a lot about, where you're at and where you're heading. And I know the therapists that I've talked to that are using Mentaya have already loved it, and we've been loving it so far too. So, yeah, more good stuff to come. I'm really excited to have people like you coming and innovating in our space in a thoughtful way. So, um, yeah, Christine, thank you again for being here, and sharing about the product and your journey. It's been really, really wonderful. We'll obviously put links to everything in the show notes, and love to have you back sometime to check in about how things are going and hear more updates on the product. So we'd love to have you back anytime.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you so much for having me, and glad to
My
hear that you've
pleasure.
been enjoying the product.
Absolutely. Thanks again, and thanks again to our sponsor, Jane. Links for that will be in the show notes. And yeah, that's it for now. We'll see you all in the next one. Talk soon.